You know how sometimes a tiny misunderstanding can just explode into a huge problem? Well, in this explainer, we're diving into a timeless story that shows how a bit of cleverness and really emotional intelligence can untangle even the most delicate conflicts. We're going to see how one man's wit managed to mend a broken relationship and bring peace back to an entire kingdom. But before we get into the thick of it, I want to ask you something. What makes a person truly witty? I mean, is it just about cracking jokes? Or is it something deeper? Maybe a mix of wisdom, perfect timing, and just getting people. Keep that question in your back pocket as we go through this. All right, so to really get this story, we've got to travel back in time. We're setting the scene in the spectacular Vijayanagara Empire, a kingdom known for its incredible glory, its wealth, and its amazing culture. And we're not just in any period. We're smack in the middle of its golden era. Now, at the heart of this magnificent empire is King Krishnadeva Raya. And it's important to know he wasn't just some powerful military guy. He was a gifted poet himself, a true patron of the arts. That meant he took a lot of personal pride in the literary world he was building around him. So just imagine this court. It's filled with the brightest minds of the era. The king surrounded himself with a group called the Ashtadhyagas, literally the 8 elephants of the directions, which gives you an idea of how massive their literary reputations were. This place was the intellectual powerhouse of the entire empire. And right there, among these 8 literary giants, is our hero, Tenali Rama, or as he's often called, Tenali Rama. Now, what's so cool about him is that he wasn't just famous for his poetry. He was legendary for his razor-sharp wit. He just had this incredible knack for solving problems that seemed totally impossible. Of course, even in a golden empire, things aren't always perfect. A shadow is about to fall over this magnificent palace, and it all starts with a very, very human moment. So here's what happened. It all started with something so simple. The king is reciting a new poem to his queen through Malumbo, and right in the middle of it, she yawns. That's it. But the king, being so proud of his poetry, took it as a huge sign of disrespect. He was so offended that he stormed out and just stopped talking to her for weeks. And this wasn't just some private little spat between them. Oh no, the king's bad mood basically poisoned the atmosphere for everyone. His wounded pride cast this gloom over the entire court. Suddenly, the once cheerful palace felt quiet and tense. A personal argument had turned into a public crisis. The queen was absolutely heartbroken. She tried everything she could think of to make things right, but nothing worked. So, with no other choice, she turns to the one person she thinks can get through to the king, the court's resident genius, Tenali Rama. Okay, so Tenali Rama knows that confronting the king directly about his pride would be a total disaster. It would just make him dig his heels in even more. So he needs a different angle. And he comes up with a plan that is as brilliant as it is, well, bizarre. The very next morning, right in the middle of the crowded court, Tenali Rama walks up to the throne. But he isn't holding a petition or a scroll, he's holding a plate of paddy seeds. He announces that these are amazing, revolutionary seeds that will produce a harvest 3 times bigger than normal. You can just feel the skepticism ripple through the court. People start whispering and muttering. You can practically hear them. "Oh, are they magic seeds?" one courtier sneers. The whole room is just buzzing with ridicule. The king, still in his foul mood, is definitely not impressed. He starts listing all the practical problems. But Rama just calmly says, well, the issue isn't with the seeds, it's with the person sowing them. And that, of course, just makes the impatient king even angrier. He roars for clear explanation. And just like that, the stage is perfectly set. And here we go. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. This is where Tenali Rama's weird presentation about some seeds finally reveals its true brilliant purpose. This is the dawn of realization. So Tenali Rama explains the one flaw with his method. He says, imagine the person sowing these incredible seeds has a habit of yawning. As they yawn, their hand shakes, the seeds go everywhere, and the whole harvest is ruined. You see, the problem isn't the seeds, it's the yawn. The sheer absurdity of this is just too much. All that sarcasm in the court just melts away, and the whole room bursts into laughter. And in that one moment, with the tension finally broken, Even the super stern king, caught completely off guard, lets out a big sigh. And then he instinctively yawns. That's his opening. Tenali Rama looks right at the king and delivers the simple, undeniable truth at the heart of his whole plan. Your Majesty, is there anyone in this world who doesn't yawn? It's as natural as breathing. And in that instant, it all clicks. You can almost see it on the king's face. His mind races back to the fight with the queen, to her yawn. And he finally sees it, how ridiculous it was to be mad at her for something so natural. He realizes just how completely unfair he's been. That same evening, the king goes to the queen. And he doesn't make excuses. He owns it completely, admitting that he was foolish and let his pride blind him. And that moment of honesty and self-awareness brings the whole conflict to a really beautiful, heartfelt end. So, what can we really take away from this amazing story? Because it's so much more than just a clever little tale. It's packed with lessons about people and how we deal with conflict. Let's break down the genius of it. Okay, so let's really get into it. First, pride. The king was a wise guy, but his ego made him totally blind to a simple human truth. It's a huge reminder for all of us. Second, perspective. Tenali Rama didn't argue facts with the king. He just reframed the whole situation. He made the king see how silly his anger was by putting it in a different context. Third, the indirect approach. If he had just accused the king of being proud, it would have been a disaster. But the metaphor of the seeds let the king figure it out for himself, which is way more powerful. And finally, humor. Laughter was the key. It completely disarmed the king's anger and opened him up to the real message. So, back to our first question. What is wit? Tenali Rama showed us it's not just being clever. It's a kind of emotional intelligence. It's using humor, wisdom, and empathy to navigate tricky situations and help people see things in a new light. And that leaves us with a challenge, right? The next time you're stuck in a stubborn argument, instead of just pushing harder, ask yourself, what would the witty approach be? How could a little shift in perspective solve your big problem?